Right, I'm just going to go through how to get your specifications from the Bilboard Australia website, which is what we're looking at right now. It's a good site to have a look at to get a little bit more of an understanding of why outdoor advertising works. It's got a lot of statistics that you can look at. So it's a good resource to get a little bit more understanding. We're looking at what kind of large formats that are used. You've got billboards, digital billboards, buses, rail advertising, airport advertising, bus shelters, hoardings, retail printing, etc. So the one we're interested for this particular assignment is the bus shelter. So once you've done one and you've gotten a little bit used to using the specs in any printer, but they're all very specific, and obviously Bilboard Australia, it's extremely specific. So let's have a look at the bus shelter. Tells you a little bit about what's possible, gives you some advice. It tells you a little bit about the booking and the costs. Got a very wide reach, so it's worth convincing your client. It's a good part of your campaign. It's got some finished sizes now. Don't do the scrollers. I'm sure you've seen the scrolling bus shelter ads. It's a little more complex, so we're going to stay away from that for your first go. And when you get to something, if you are asked to do something like this, the best thing always with any kind of output, whether it's for digital media or print media, is to talk directly to the people that who are going to actually put the work up. So talk to the printer directly, and it's got numbers on here, and they encourage you to ring to check. So if you've got to do a scroller or something more complex you've never touched before, ring them, get the advice, or email them. But let's just have a look. We're going to do a straightforward one of these. So you've got a choice. You've got that one, or if you scroll down, you could do this one, the Yarrowlight one. So measurements are slightly different. So you pick the method we're going to use is the same, and you've got some more information down there about the reach and frequency. So let's maybe start with this top one as an example. So the finish size, that's what we also call the trim size. So when it's actually got any excess trimmed off. The visual safe area is really important, and you can see it gives you measurements for that, and you need to make sure you've got anything important sitting inside that. So you wouldn't want your text, for example, to go into that visual safe area. So it's important we have some guidelines for where that visually safe area is. Now there's a little bit more you need to know, and you need to go to the advice tab there and go to print production. So on there you will see there's specs for all the different products. So you can download that PDF and have a look at it. And I've already downloaded it, so I'll open my copy just to show you, because I've just outlined, so you don't miss it, that it says the artwork should have 10 millimeters bleed all around the trim size. It also wants you to set things up in InDesign. It does also say that. So that's their specifics. So you should follow them. So you can see file setup, HBA, the BBA required, Bilboard Australia requires that files be supplied as high-res PDFs or InDesign files. So they're happy to take the packaged InDesign file. And it's a good idea to send them that in case, so they can actually have a look and access the Photoshop file as well for any imagery. So all fonts and links, and accompanying low-res PDF for reference. So once you've made the InDesign document, you can output it at the size we've asked for, but you can then make a low-res PDF of it. The other thing that's really important to note is this, and I'll highlight that as well. Files should be a quarter of the final size at 250 dots per inch to reduce the file size. Now I've got another video on making sure any Photoshop imagery you're working with is at 250 pixels per inch before, at the right size before it goes into your InDesign document. So you can have a look at that as well. But this is what we're going to deal with now, this quarter size. So figuring out the size of the document that we've got to make in InDesign. So I'm going to just go to applications and just open the little calendar that's available on all the Macs. So just go on, now I can't find it, but it's here somewhere. Calculator, sorry. What did I say, calendar? Open your calculator and I'll just run through this for you. Just try and make it clear what you have to do. So back on the web, it's told you the actual, sorry, we can stay with this specifications. See how it says trim size? 1010 millimeters by 1520. We only want to make a document a quarter that size. So what you've got to do is use your calculator. 1010 divided by 4 equals 252.50. Great. That is now your new document width. And then do the same with the length. So at the moment the length is 1520 divided by 4 equals 380. So that means you're going to make a InDesign document at that new quarter size. So I'll step through that in the video. And then remember it asks for 10 mil bleed, but we also want to know where the visual safe area is, don't we? Now that gets a little bit trickier. So basically what we're going to have to do is work out the quarter size of the 985 by 1480 and minus the quarter visual safe size from the trim size. So I'll do that. So if we can just kind of try and, I'll write it down, but just try and remember our document size that's the trim size thereafter. And then we also have got to use the margins to figure out what the safe area is. So let's just go to, and I'll come back to do that. So I'm going to put it in so you get a sense of what we're doing. Then I'll come back and show you how to calculate that. It's not rocket science, but it can seem a bit daunting at first because they're throwing numbers at you. So I'm going to step through and just make a completely new document. So just go File, New, and it's going to be a print document. That'll make sure it's in CMYK. You want to make sure that it's measuring in millimeters, not picas. You want to turn off facing phages and have no primary text frame. So here we're going to put our quarter length that we worked out, which is 252.50, and our quarter height, which is 380. Now, what we want to do is add the bleed, which we were told is 10. And we're going to put that, use the link chain as it's all run. But here in the margins, we can use those margins to indicate the safe areas, but we need to know what the measurements are, and they're different top and bottom. I'm going to put them in and then track back and show you how I got them. So I'm going to put for the left and right, I'm going to put 3.125 in, and the same over there, 3.125, and the top and the bottom is going to be 5 millimeters and 5 millimeters. So not the same. This is for the visual. We're using the margins to give us that visual safe area. And just say create. That's what it should look like. Those margins there are just telling you don't put any important text, or if you're putting an image in there or a block of colours and you didn't want it to bleed, then you are going to make sure you don't have any lettering or anything hanging over into that space, because the frame of the bus shelter is going to cover that area. So you need to have the main body of stuff, well away from that margin. How did I get that margin? Let me see, I might have set it up. Let me see if I've got it. I think I do. I think I wrote it down just so I can explain it to you. No, I ditched it. Okay. So let me see if I can find it. Open recent. I think it's that one. Oh, yeah. Okay. So, yeah. You have to do the same thing with your... Let's just go back to this so I don't confuse you. So that 985, you needed to figure out what that was when divided by a quarter. So let's just do that now. Oh, this is a different one. That was for the other one, the Yarrowlight one, not the Metrolite one. So I'll write it on here what we've got. We've got the trim size. Get that a bit bigger so you can see it. Your trim size equals with a quarter. So remember, this is at 1/4, equals 252.50. That's all fine. So that's the width. That equals the width. But if I go back to the safe zone, this is how we get our margin. Just have a look at that document again. What does it say the safe zone is? 385. So that's the width for the visual safe area. So let's go back to our little calculator, clear it, and go, okay, I need 985 divided by 4, which equals 24625. So my visual safe zone at a quarter is 246.25. And what I've got to do with my little calculator is take the original, which is 252.50, and minus the new quarter safe zone, which is 246.25. What does that equal? 6.25. So put that on the 6.25. Sorry, I lost my calculator. 6.25 equals 6.25. But then I need to divide that by 2 to find out what it is either side for the margin. So like I said, it's actually not rocket science. It's just fiddling around a little bit with it. Sorry, I've lost my calculator again. I'll just go get it. Where is it? ABC calculator. Yeah, so it makes it easy to see that. So if you just want to, obviously you could probably work it out in your head, but let's just do it. 3.25 divided by 2 equals 1.625. Okay, so that's not right. Oh, 6.25, sorry, 6.25 divided by 2, 3.125. And that's what I put in. So my margin on either side is 3.12. Oh, sorry, 3.1125. Does that make sense? Maybe not. So I'm going to do it again for the length. We'll go back to our document. Now we've already divided that 1520 and we figured out that our length, so we're going to do the length now, is 380. So let's just put that in. So the trim size is for the length. Oh, let's get that up to the same size so you can see it. Add a quarter size equals 380. We know that. But our safe zone, now we have to figure what that is at quarter size. What is it? So let's just go have a look back at our document. So it says 1480. So get your calculator, clear. 1480 divided by 4 equals 370. So our safe zone is 370. So you're going to take 370 from 380. So 380 minus 370 equals 10. That wasn't hard. And then I've got to divide by 2 because I want to distribute that on either side. And that's just going to mean that we've got that 5 mil. So I'll just put that equals 5 millimeters, top and bottom in InDesign. So that's how I got those figures, and that is what you can use. That's how you figure out your margin, which equal the safe zone on the InDesign document. I hope that makes sense. It's a little bit of backwards and forwards. So if you figure this out, the only complication is that when you go back to Photoshop to prepare images, you don't want to stretch them up because you'll change the pixels per inch in InDesign. So you don't want to do that. So you need to prepare them at the size. So watch the other video that I've made, and basically you've got to go back because our correct size looks like this. It's got 10 extra on either side. So back in Photoshop, you've got to go and basically crop it. If it's a big image, it's easy, you can crop it. And you can see that I've added an extra 20 to that image size on top of the trim size. That's because, just go back again, I'll just cancel that because I've already done it. But that's because we've got to make sure our image isn't distorted. When we look in the links palette, we should be seeing the actual PPI with the original document, and the effective PPI is not changing. If you bring the image in too small and then try to drag it up, so I'll do that. I'll just go fitting and just sort of make it jump up. If you're doing that to try and scale it up to fit over into the edge of the bleed, look what's happened to the effective PPI. It's shrunk, so it's not going to fit the criteria, and they will reject your ad. They won't actually use it. So you waste a lot of time. So going through this methodically, watch the other video on resizing in Photoshop. Of course, it's a lot easier if you're using Illustrator graphics because you can scale them up and they're going to be fine. But if you're using any kind of a Photoshop illustration, then you've got to consider that your Photoshop file is not being dragged up, that it's exactly coming in and fitting because you've prepared it at the right size with the 250 resolution. So now if I do the object fitting and put it back in, you can see it's jumped back and there's no change between them. Okay, so I hope that is all going to make sense to you, and we'll see you in class to go through it again probably.